Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming here today. Cybersecurity Conference 2011. Just a bit of housekeeping before we get going. You should find a map of the hotel in your delegate packs. Please make sure you familiarise yourself with the fire exits. And also there's the hashtag CSC2011. So feel free to contribute and to follow throughout the day. I hope you find it interesting and useful. So why are we here? Well, I just had a quick look round on the internet, and the best sort of resource statistics I could find was the 2010 Information Security Breaches Technical Report from PwC. Just to give us some idea of the problems that we're facing, one of the key things is that the way that we do business has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. We're more likely to use external business providers. We rely more heavily on social media for our business models. We've also, the way that we're using technology has changed dramatically. We've doubled, the businesses have doubled really the amount of wireless technology they're using. And there's a significant use of technology for things like voice communications. Not only that, but we've got a significant and increasing threat to our businesses. So if we just look at large businesses, so more than 250 employees, the number of reported incidents has gone up from 72% to 92% since 2008. The average number of incidents per year has gone up from 15 to 45. And most interestingly is the most expensive incident has massively increased. Okay? So that's for large businesses. But what about small businesses? Well, if we look at businesses less than 50 employees, we can see actually it's getting worse than for larger businesses. 83% reported an incident, up from 45. 14 incidents per year on average, and most significantly for a small business, the impact, the financial cost is significant. And it's reported that there is approximately an indicative amount of several billion pounds per year impact on the UK economy. So this is a significant threat for us. So why are you here today? Well, we're going to look at how we can take information security as a multidisciplinary approach. We're looking at people, process and technology, and hopefully you'll see that in the various breakout sessions that we've got today. SMEs are a key target for malicious attackers. You have information, which is important, but you also have resources that are important to them as well. Bandwidth, processing power, and most importantly, reputation. Because if they can convince somebody that they are you, they can trick the end user into doing anything. So today is about education. It's about how to protect yourself. So the agenda today, so you've got me, and then I'll be handing over to Geoff Coulson from the school, head of school, and then on to Nick King from the KBC. And then we'll have our first keynote speech from Tiny Dye House, and then we'll move on through to the exhibitions, the industry breakout sessions, and then more keynote speeches. So I'd like to hand over to Geoff Coulson, head of school.
Thanks. Where?
If you just close that one down. Yeah, if you come down to the bottom.
There we go. Okay, finally worked out how to drive PowerPoint. So welcome to you all. It's really nice to see a good full house here, and I was looking down the delegate list, and it's great to see people from a variety of sources, SMEs, larger companies, academics as well. So welcome everybody. I just wanted to say a few words about the school that's hosting this event, just for a bit of context. So we're with the School of Computing and Communications, and I'm the new head of school actually. I just took over in the summer, so this is a bit of a learning curve for me. So the key facts about the school, we're very much a research-led school, and we have a strong international reputation in a number of areas, which I'll come on to in a bit. But broadly, we have expertise in a wide range of areas, ranging from electronics and physical communications, right up to societal aspects of computing. And this came about because we're actually a merger. The school is a merger of two former departments at Lancaster, the computing department and the communication systems department. So we cover a wider range, arguably, than many schools or departments in the UK in this area. And the emphasis of our research is very practically oriented. We don't do a lot of theoretical stuff, mathematical stuff. We tend to proceed by building systems, prototype systems, deploying them in as real a world, a context as possible, and evaluating them. And that's the kind of papers we tend to write as well. We publish in the top venues in the world, but we tend to write very much experience-flavoured papers. And because of that, we have excellent links with industry as well. We work with many companies. We have since way back in the early 80s, all the major UK IT and computing and engineering outfits we've worked with. We get a lot of our money directly from industry. We have a fairly healthy pot of research grant money. This comes from a variety of sources, not only industry, but increasingly from Europe. In the Framework 7 and coming up to Framework 8, and of course from the EPSRC as well. And we also have a Centre of Excellence for Knowledge Exchange in the ICT area. This is our Knowledge Business Centre, our KBC, and Nick King here will be saying a few words about that in just a minute or two. And this is essentially our organ for reaching out to industry, especially SMEs. We're a medium-sized school, about 40 academic staff, about 400 undergraduates, 100 PhD students and 65 research associates, so we have something of the order of 3 to 4 researchers per academic. So that demonstrates the amount of activity we have in the research area. And in the KE specific area, knowledge exchange area, we have about 25 staff there as well. Well, I'll just briefly skip through. I'll just mention our undergraduate and postgraduate teaching provision. The main thing about our portfolio of undergraduate degrees is that because of the merger of the two departments, as I mentioned before, we're able to offer a very wide range of courses, right from communications and electronics, right through to IT for the creative industries, which is a degree targeted at people who see their career path in music and film and gaming and media generally. All our degrees are available as traditional 3-year BScs or with a 4-year, with a 1-year top-up on top of that, for which students get an MSci degree. They do a couple of master's courses and they do some industrial placements, again which are managed by our Knowledge Business Centre. And there are also options to study abroad with international partners. Typically at Lancaster this takes the form of students taking their 2nd year out and going somewhere else in the world to do their 2nd year, and then bringing the credits back from that year to combine with their 3rd year performance at Lancaster to make up their overall degree assessment. And similarly, a wide range of master's offerings there. I won't. One of which, of course, I should mention briefly, is cybersecurity. Okay, so a bit about our research. So I mentioned that we take this very practical oriented approach. So essentially, this is the closest thing to a mission statement that we might have to creating the systems of the future and training the people that invent, design and deploy these systems. That's what we're essentially about. And we organize ourselves into these 5 what we call themes. They're quite loose groupings because we do tend to work across the themes a lot as well. Interdisciplinarity has become an increasingly big part of what we do. But traditionally we've been very strong in communications and networking. David Hutchison is our leader here, who some of you might know. He's been very active in the UK networking scene since the early 80s. Computer systems is the area I work in, so we tend to focus here on building platforms, programming platforms. An example of a project I'm currently working in is a Internet of Things project in Santander in Spain, where we're deploying thousands of sensors and actuators throughout the city and building a programming platform on top of that hardware to enable a wide range of applications to be trialed in a kind of smart city environment. So that's the kind of things we do there. Intelligent systems is about DSPs mainly, and software engineering. We have also a very strong tradition of software engineering. Back when Ian Somerville was with us, he wrote the world's leading textbook on that topic, and we have a very strong presence in that area still. You'll be hearing from Awais Rashid, who is one of our professors in that area later on in the day. And finally, HCI, human-computer interaction. Again, we have a long tradition of this, and the leader of this area is Alan Dix, who again has the world-leading textbook in the area. So we do pretty well in writing textbooks for some obscure reason. And there are emerging themes as well. These are the established ones. Emerging themes, we've always done a bit on what might be called social computing. We've involved sociologists in our work, essentially ethnographers who look at how systems are deployed in companies and in various other human organizations. And this is increasing as a theme. A lot of us are becoming interested in this area, increasingly interdisciplinary. And of course, cyber forensics, cyber security. This is also a strongly galloping forward theme in our school. And our faculty have recently pushed an initiative in this direction to look at interdisciplinary aspects of security involving other departments in our faculty, such as psychology. Okay, so, well, just to blow our trumpet a bit more, I'm afraid. In the last RAE research assessment exercise back in 2008, we were ranked 10th, which I think is really punching above our weight for a university of our size and vintage. Of course, we're behind the Oxfords and the Cambridges and the London colleges, but we're really right up there in terms of our research quality. All of it is international quality according to the RAE, and the bulk of it is in the top grades of international excellence and world leading. And we currently have about 50 funded research projects. These are significant projects on the books. And just to mention, I mentioned the KBC, the Knowledge Business Centre, a couple of times in passing. Let me just finally set a little bit of context about this before Nick talks about what the KBC can actually do for you. So KBC is a centre of excellence in ICT for the Northwest. These are the kinds of things it does. It supports technology exploitation, management of IPR and commercialisation of our research. And that's important for us because, as I mentioned, our research is very practically oriented. We build things. So these things tend to filter through to exploitation. And in keeping with that, we have space in our InfoLab building, which many of you will have seen over there somewhere at the south end of the campus, the big green building. We have a wing of that which is dedicated to the KBC, and there's a corridor of offices there for start-up and spin-out companies. And over the last 5 years, we've built up to 33 such companies. And one example is one of the displays that you'll have seen outside, ISIS Forensics, which is about protecting children from online cybercrime. We also maintain a big list of associate companies. These are useful to us in terms of student placements and student projects, and we also hope that we're useful to them in the ways that Nick will expand on. We also run a graduate academy with European money, whereby our PhD students work on short bounded projects to help local SMEs with their IT needs. And actually, I used to think rather naively, before I was head of the department, that a lot of this would be kind of tweaking their websites. But I was very wrong about that, and I found that when discussing with the guys, we do a range of very interesting things with local companies. So I think that's a really strong aspect of the KBC. This activity has also funded 12 PhD studentships, helped to create a number of jobs, and we're ranked highly in the UK for contacts with SMEs. So at that point I'll hand over to Nick. I'll leave you to try PowerPoint as I've filled.
Thanks, Geoff. There we go. Fabulous. I'll go over here, guys. Part of me feels slightly abashed at that point after what Geoff has said. I feel I have a lot to live up to in terms of what I have to say about the KBC. Well, firstly, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Lancaster University Conference Centre. I'm going to do a particularly cliched thing, but it's my own benefits, is just to put your hand in your air if you're new to Lancaster University. Have you visited us before? Everybody's visited us before? Fantastic. Just to get an idea of my audience, who I'm talking to, but also you'll be targeted for special attention, because obviously once you've left this area and this event, we might find it a little bit harder to communicate with you. So my colleagues and I will be trying to capture anybody new to the university and just make sure you know exactly what we're on about. So that's just a bit of a heads up there. So who am I? My name's Nick King. I'm Business Development Manager at Infolab and SCC's, the School of Computing and Communications Knowledge Business Centre as we are now. I'm not going to go on a great deal about what we do, the services that we do, the devices that don't work. No, there we go. Because what I'd like to offer is effectively to give you details really of the team that's in the room to support your day today. I'll come on to that in another slide in a second, but there are actually 4 of us, maybe 5 actually within who are going to be looking after you throughout the day, and I'd just like to identify those towards the end of my presentation. Geoff's already done a fantastic job of talking a little bit about what the Knowledge Business Centre does. It's one of those terms that you hear in universities and technology transfer. But effectively, if you think of it as an arm of the school that is purely there to try and create new relations between the business community and the academic community, that's it in a nutshell. I could go on for the entire day about all the different frameworks that we have to do that, and I'll explain a couple about some of them. But in a nutshell, that's it. It's about creating, managing, nurturing and maximising those relationships to the benefits of both parties. As you're probably very much aware, my colleagues in academia are pursuing things from one perspective. People from a commercial point of view will be looking at it from a different perspective. Our job is to find mechanisms and frameworks that allow those two parties to meet and supporting them. So really that's that top tier line there of linking business with Infolab 21 academics. That's the key role that we do. We have a number of ways of doing it. One of the central ones to us at the moment are the European projects that Geoff mentioned, which are 2 projects called ISIS and iStep. You have details of those in your information packs, and I won't go into them in great detail. They're geared towards Northwest SMEs, and I'm aware, looking at the delegate list, that there are a number of companies that are outside the Northwest, but that doesn't mean that you're excluded from working with us by any means. We just happen to have some European pots that are geared towards working with Northwest companies. ISIS is very much about helping companies utilise technology to transform their business process. iStep is much more about how companies can create new technologies. It's about working very collaboratively with our academic colleagues and looking at new and developing technologies. As part of those projects, and this event sits for us in sort of side that framework to a certain extent, we have a number of different networking, event sort of programs, but also a number of different ways of collaborating that are supported through these European funding streams.
And what I'd ask you to do is that you have feedback sheets in your packs, but also try and sign up to any form of our communication that we have going. I think Dan mentioned about the hashtag. We'll be using that to sort of collate and monitor sort of feeling throughout the day, but we'd like that to continue. We'd like this event to continue. I think Dan might be mentioning a little bit about that in the closing remarks. But if you think of ISIS and iStep as a first way of really interacting with the building, that's something that we're really, really keen to promote, but it doesn't exclude people from outside the Northwest. So, in terms of other things that we have there, we've got facilitating collaborative research projects, assisting high-tech startups and spin-out companies, as Geoff mentioned, and looking at inward investment. Those really sit behind some of the figures that Geoff was mentioning earlier on, in so much as what we're interested in doing is bringing things into the Northwest. The co-location facilities that we have in the building are helpful in doing that. In terms of assisting high-tech startups and spin-outs, again, that's not just about the companies that reside within our co-location facility, but it's just about working with the academic community at InfoLab to actually help promote that agenda, to basically remove boundaries and barriers to people looking to actually commercialise their research. And similarly, the facilitating collaborative research is all about really looking at that meeting between academia and commercial entities, as much as how can both ends be met. And there's a whole platform of ways that we can do that. We're lucky enough to have somebody here from the TSB talking today, and they have a raft of platforms, are one of the government's primary agents for delivering collaborative research funding at the moment. But then you have other elements such as research councils that support this, you have other European funding streams, and as I say, it would be a long discussion, to say the least, to go into all of those. The way that we approach it in the KBC is that we'd just say, come and have a chat to us at a start point. If you hear something that you find of interest today, and you're wondering how you could collaborate in more depth or more collaboratively, just have a chat to us. We tend to work basically from a needs basis. We won't come at you with a project or a funding stream. We'll find out what you need to do, what collaboration you're interested in, and then see what's available to do that. And wherever possible, we'll try and find that. So really the gist of my presentation, because Geoff was good enough to put some fantastic figures in his, is to just articulate the fact that there's myself, there's Sam and Claire at the back of the room. You can see us because we have these natty orange badges on, just to differentiate ourselves a little bit. It's not that we paid for them and we have to wear them. But, and Colin, who's out, he was manning our stand, and you might have seen Sarah by the door. Sarah's taking some promotional pictures today. But the main thing really is just to identify ourselves and come and speak to us. That is the most effective way that you can find out more about how to collaborate with InfoLab's academic community. There are a whole range of it, and more importantly, we're absolutely keen to do so. In terms of InfoLab structure, it's a little bit unique in so much as we have an entire wing that's embedded within the academic school to do this kind of work, and that's quite unusual in higher education. So please do have a chat to us if you'd like to find out more about how to collaborate. So you can see the contact details there, or just names. Contact details will be circulated. I'll also be manning the panel session later on today for my sins. So please do have a think of some interesting questions for the panel session later on. Otherwise you'll be left with what I can come up with, and I guarantee your questions will be a lot more interesting than mine. So really, I think all it leaves me to do is to say thank you and enjoy your day. Come and speak to us. If there's anything of interest, anything that you want to find out more about, speak to myself, Sam, Claire or Colin.